Good afternoon again, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and we're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. And again, folks, we're shooting straight through these. I want to try and get done within a decent time because I got to do my streaming because on Friday, Silver Dollar City, and yes, I'm still recovering. So let's go through it, shall we? In the description box, you're going to find a link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Education Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much. They have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Well, folks, NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill. Please read that article and share it on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case the JRC actually sees through with their threat. Also included in there, the Ozark's first article in regards to the Agape boarding school, now known as Stone for Help boarding school situation, a so-called Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in so-called troubled male teens that has impending over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all which have been substantiated by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another a doctor still on the premises with full access to the boys, up on multiple counts of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You have an attorney general too busy chasing after and lying about drag queens and trying and failing to defund public libraries to actually do his job, and this governor, I don't know what to tell you other than send help. Read that article, share it on all your social media. Also included is the link to this particular assessment done by Dr. Fredda back in 1999, Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masaba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, the templates, and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org shut the Judge Rotenberg Center down petition. Allergies. When we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones, all right? 1 second. 1 second. We're also technology challenged on this channel, so I do not have an edit button. I do not have all the fancy stuff all the other channels do. It's just me on here who is really tired and doesn't want to redo a video 3 times, so I'm sorry for when those occasions happen and the allergies get the best of me. Like now. Alright. For those who are new to the channel and have no idea who the Judge Rotenberg Center is, what they are guilty of, or why there is a whole movement against them called Stop the Shock, I highly advise you to take a look at the description box. In particular, I would highlight Hoya's massive archive on the subject. Her receipts have receipts. Okay? Gives you a look at the blogs, court documents, ER documents, DESI reports, you name it, we probably got it in there. So please look those over. Go on to YouTube, type in Stop the Shock, Judge Rotenberg Center. You'll see what it is that I'm talking about, all right? All right, folks, trigger warning. This channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and we speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously, folks, parental supervision is very much advised, all right? Now, sorry you have to get a close-up of my ugly mug, but I regret nothing. What can I say? Never cared about looks, never going to. Sitting on my couch as opposed to sitting cross-legged and trying to maneuver around the cat. It's far more comfortable. Where we left off. Use of functional behavioral assessment. A variety of strategies are available for identifying and assessing ecological factors and conditions that contribute to problem behavior. In layman's terms, folks, for those who are not used to the professional jargon, this means what is the root cause? From where is this behavior coming from? Is it coming in particular from our unique neurology as atypical brains? Is there an actual triggering factor? You see where we're going here. When you find the root cause, that's when we can start talking treatment, because that's what logical people do. We address the root of the issue, not the offshoot. Because if all you do is treat the offshoot, you're defeating the purpose. It's like smacking yourself upside the head at full force and calling it progress. You're shooting yourself in the foot. If you don't address the triggering cause, guess what happens? It remains there. Okay? Simple. If it's a triggering factor that there's really nothing that can be done about, that is not in the more traditional manner, this is what medication is for. And yes, I know people like Dr. Israel, you're going to be dumped up to the gills and catatonic, dude. At one point in time, I have been on so many different drugs and had so many different pills thrown at me within the space of a single year that I didn't know which way was up, which way was down. I didn't know what emotion I was feeling or if I was feeling any emotion at all. However, that being said, irresponsible doctor. You know what I did? This is why this is important, folks. I spoke to my doctor about the ramifications of the medications that I was being put on at the time. When the doctor continued to be an idiot, talked to my aunt, who was my power of attorney at the time, and I changed doctors. You are not powerless at the hands of an almighty doctor. Exercise that, for God's sake. Speak up for yourselves. They're doctors, not gods, and they do not know that something is wrong or that a medication is causing a complication unless you open your mouth. You know what I mean? You're not psychic. But let's move on here. I kind of went off on a tangent. Basically what it's saying here, if all you do is treat the offshoot, the behavior that stems from the triggering issue, but you don't treat the triggering issue, you're not cutting out the issue at the root. Nor are you providing anything else for something that is triggering it that kind of nothing you can do, but there's reasonable accommodations, medications, things that you can do once you have the information of the root cause. Moving on. A functional behavior assessment. A real one, folks. Natural, real functional behavior assessment, which includes strengths as well as weaknesses and does not sit there and harp on every single behavior you have like you're counting it off like you're an accountant. I don't know. A real one is the gathering of information that defines patterns of problem behavior. What is causing it? What is hampering functionability? The antecedents associated with problem behavior, boring or difficult classwork, me. Okay, everyone here knows I'm a nerd. Everybody knows that. I spent the good majority of my childhood with my face inside a book. Therefore, I was I don't mean to be a braggart here, but I was kind of light years ahead the rest of my peer group when it came to reading, so I would get bored. And even worse, I would get belligerent with my history teacher when they said something from their textbooks, which I knew from study was absolutely false. And boy, I'd get heated. Nothing has changed, has it? Moving on here. Verbal instructional demands. Particular staff, specific times a day. Transition between activities, especially when you throw a monkey wrench that I like to call out of nowhere change, because that causes autistic fog brain and me to get very highly irritated very quickly. This is why later in life, as I got into mid-20s, I decided to kind of create a system where if there was a random change, depending on what that change was, there would be an immediate alternative sort of routine that I could go into so that I wouldn't go off the left field and take another left. But anyways, you see where I'm going. I'm babbling. I'm sorry. Unstructured activities. No, not too far off base. And so on. Setting events that predict occurrence and non-occurrence of the problem behavior and the consequences that maintain the behavior. Setting events are those more general and distant conditions that increase the likelihood of a specific behavior occurring, such as whether a child had a good night's sleep, a cold, ate breakfast, or had a problem on the school bus. They use real-life scenarios. They're not going and having staff randomly jump at these students to intentionally provoke the behavior. There's a huge difference there. Huge. We're going to read the next paragraph and we'll close out for this one. As pointed out above, the use of positive behavior support is embraced by the IDEA's 1997 amendments, which require states to have a policy regarding functional assessment and positive behavioral supports, and requiring the decision makers to consider when functional assessment and positive behavior support should be used or have been used effectively. Turnbull, 1998. The law assumes that functional behavioral assessment has occurred. If the IEP team has not already conducted a functional behavioral assessment and implemented a behavioral intervention plan before the punishable behavior occurred, it must meet and develop an assessment plan to address that behavior. 20 USC 1415. Horner, Albert, and Sprague, and Todd, 2000, suggest that without a functional assessment, behavioral support may be harmful, as a strategy that is implemented without this information may actually serve to increase behavior it was intending to decrease. Thank you. There's an old saying that my dad used to say a lot. I can't fix something when I don't know it's broken. Self-explanatory, isn't it? Now, I don't like using that because majority of this stuff, my brain functions differently. That's it and that's all. My neurons do not fire in the same way that yours does. Just saying. But moving on. At this point, there is about 20 years of empirical research that demonstrates that even the most serious behavior problem, autistic fog brain in full effect, folks. Speaking of, 20 years of empirical research that demonstrates that even the most serious behavior can be effectively addressed when behavior support is based on a functional behavior assessment. Thank you. We rely on those very heavily, especially when you work for the state. Especially. And that's when they actually work. When you do a real one. Where is this student right now? Why is the student here right now? What is causing the student to be here right now? Some examples include self-injurious behavior, Carr, McDowell, 1980, Day, Ree, Schulzer, Larson, and Johnson, 1988, Rep, Felchi, Barton, 1988, tantruming, Carr and Nertsum, 1985, and aggression, Bird, Doors, Moniz, Robinson, 1889, Bleh, Carr, Dewson, and Blinkoff, 1980. When you don't base a plan off an actual functional assessment, when all you do is focus on everything the kid is doing wrong, but you don't care to do the homework to figure out where this is stemming from, whether it's something we can actually control or not, what are you even doing? What is even the point? Seriously, there's a reason why corporal punishment was taken out of schools in the 90s. It's because it doesn't work. Not for the long term. And the consequences, they speak for themselves. We're going to close out on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I will see you next vid.